growing up and playing. It's great just to see that we've given back. Of course, I grew up playing here and actually played for Mark Farmer. So I'm giving back to the program that gave me so much as a youth athlete and a high school athlete that really learned a lot more about life on and off the field through Saranac Lake football.
Sounds like organic development of all of the skill sets and the community itself, as you are indicating that you had been within a system that somebody else had passed along to you, and so that you're just passing it almost as if to say paying it forward. Is that like a West Coast offense kind of thing? You're paying forward? Playing the
Yes.
Forward pass. So what I also can appreciate is that and when you said PAL, Police Athletic League?
Yes.
Is that
yeah. So that's what we used to have here in Saranac Lake. And then with COVID, PAL had shut down, and John Muldowney and Eric Bennett got together and started this new Saranac Lake USA Football League, which is organized and hosted by USA Football, which is very similar to USA Hockey, starting with some new modules and trying to create a safer football where you're getting rid of some of the head injuries and stuff like that. So it's relatively new here in Saranac Lake, and some of the things are a lot different than what we've had for years, but we're kind of starting a little slower, teaching fundamentals, and third and fourth graders, instead of being full on tackle, they're doing padded flags. So they're playing flag football, but in full pads. So you're getting used to the equipment. But we don't have a bunch of 8-9-year-olds out there getting concussions and beating each other up without proper technique. So It's definitely the way that things should be going, as far as keeping a safer game out there, and hopefully that keeps these kids being able to play until they're seniors, instead of having 3-4 concussions before they get into middle school or high school football.
Right. I played a bit of football over different eras of my life, even going so far as into my fourth decade, so 41 in semi-pro. So that's full pads and gear and all of that kind of tackle stuff. And at that time, which isn't too long ago, I want to say that I was 41 yesterday, but that's not the case. Today's my birthday, but I won't reveal anything beyond that. But at that time, we didn't have the kinds of developments, although I should say that we had some kind of a sense of relating to the pros, because during that time they went to collective bargaining, and concussions were a major subject matter for the NFLPA, the Players Association. And a lot of the things that they were going through, you cannot go to the facilities, you can't work out there, you want to go ahead and do what you're going to do, you got to do it on your own time. So they ended up going out to Safeway parking lots and throwing a ball around, or going to the high schools and jumping the fences to go and practice at the high schools. And these are the pros who are experiencing it, much like the semi-pros. During that time period, a lot of the things were shifting on the way that we as a sport, football, have been approaching concussion and safety. And it seems to have kind of built out some programs that now allow for the things that are happening down in the youth to be protected on their way up, and to have that sense of the protocol that you're used to. Hey, if you get a knock on the head, there's a chance. And I have to mention, and I hope he's doing well, Tua. Remember Dolphins quarterback recently just went down, and it's heartbreaking to see a fellow, a brother of ours, out on a field in that situation. And I know that there's often that kind of detraction where some folks say, there's not enough good intensity in the hitting and stuff like that. But I have to say I disagree, because this the last home game when we had who was it? It wasn't Peru. In the last home game, there was a really heavy hit. Linebacker coming up, seeing run all the way. There's a gap wide open. Nobody covered a gap or anything like that. And then just smack right in, form tackle, puts the guy down on his keister, and the ball comes out, right? There's intensity still there. There is still room for it to have impact, but it's good to see that there is more technique, and it's good to see that there are technologies being built around it. So the padded flag football, is a great way to train it. You really got to break down in flag. It's no easy task. So it's good to hear about that. What I'd like to also ask is, in your experience coming up individually in Saranac Lake, from the community stance, outside of just the football stuff too, what has kind of poured in, and I'm kind of like hinting towards family and how family and the community have factored into your development as a youth on up to now as you are a leader in the community.
I got to say that the family involvement and the community involvement, especially for the football program, but I also played hockey and lacrosse, and, it was always there. My family, especially, huge supporters of me growing up and playing sports, and the community always just seems to kind of come behind the young athletes in this town. My father is actually the president of the Fifth Quarter Club now, which is the Booster Club, and I see it with him every day. I've stopped coaching at the high school level, which is when he started running the program, but he stuck with it because even he loves the program and loves the community. And he wasn't a football player in high school. He didn't play, but he still has that drive for it, the ambition behind it, and the community that outreaches to them and donates money and time and everything is a real sacrifice for them. And it shows how much Saranac Lake football matters, and probably a good reason as to why we're on our 100th season here is that the community, the families that get involved and drive these kids all over the place to games that are there to support and cheer them on. It's just something that you don't find a lot of other places, and being a football player in Saranac Lake is definitely a special feeling, and I'm sure that other areas say the same thing, but I know, never really anything like putting the pads on here in town and walking over to the field and being brothers with everybody that you play with, and having your family and the community behind you just makes it that much better for sure.
So I'm gonna start to wrap up here. A couple of closing questions. Do you spend a lot of time working through things with Coach Bennett, Eric?
So I haven't really this year. Obviously, so I coached 5 years at the high school, and Eric was the head varsity coach, of course, and the athletic director when I was there. So we spent a lot of time together for those years. This year for the USA football stuff has been kind of just, I'm the head coach of the kindergarten through second grade and ran with it. He set everything up and kind of gave us the base and the fundamentals of what he wants to see out of the program. And then he's given the coaches some leeway to get there on their own way, and it's definitely a different feel with some kids because it's young, kindergartners, their attention span, especially at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, can be a little hard to get them there, but he gave us a good base of what he wants this program to build up to, and it's nice to be able to kind of start at the lower level and work these guys up.
Have you been following the high school football season closely?
I have. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to make it to a game yet. I'm in the Army National Guard as well, and I've been gone a couple weekends for that, and things going on. And all that stuff, and hoping to get out to a game soon, but glad that they're doing well, and definitely got some tremendous athletes on the team this year.
Do any of your players, which by the way, my nephew Sawyer plays for you?
Yes, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, he got some energy, that kid.
He does.
He was doing good tonight.
Yeah. So what I was wondering is if you get a chance to look at film or if you chat with Eric about how things are going with the season, but more so, I recently ran into a voice that sounds familiar, and this voice runs from the Morgan family, and it was from a distance, and I had never met the other person that was that voice, but I heard it from across a very large room, and I knew that right there sounds just like John, but it's not John, it's somebody else. Well, a group of folks were having a good time. They used to play football for the Saranac Lake High School football team too, and they had mentioned something about Mariah coming into town and maybe rolling. And I'm wondering what your thoughts might be if you have any insight on whether or not Saranac Lake is going to be facing an uphill battle this weekend.
You know, Mariah is a tough test no matter what every year. I don't know if they've changed anything in their program in 30 years, but they come in with a real smash mouth, tough style of play, and they really just bring it. So every year, whether our team is fast or big or whatever we have going for us, it's always a battle. And I think it's going to be a great matchup this weekend. I'm hoping the boys come out on top, of course, especially at our home field. But I think they've been working hard at practice. I've seen them out there on the field tonight, and I think they're going to be well prepared. And I'm sure Eric's got them set and ready to go. But it's definitely going to be a battle. Be a fun one to watch.
What's your natural position?
So I played defensive end and tight end. Definitely played more defense, and that's kind of, I love it. I love being out there, being able to make some hits and playing the game. And I've gone on now to playing rugby and actually play with Forrest Morgan, who's the head JV coach now, and Sean Ryan's one of his assistant coaches. We all play rugby together. So it's another football connection, and we all grew up playing in the same program, and here we are later on in life playing rugby here in Saranac Lake, and just keeping it going.
Well, it looks like a guy like you in a tight end position would be really great in this current version of the team to help open up more and more holes, as it seems that Carter Hewitt is running at about 100 a game on average. Of course, that's helped out with a 262-yard rushing performance. So it looks like maybe if they get a little bit of that help there, they might be able to get that running game going again and help that kind of supplement everything else. And then maybe the big kid out on the receiver side of things, after he gets, you put it up 50-50 ball, there's a chance, the hope is he's going to get it. That's Navarra. And it looked like he maybe had about $1.50 on last week's game. So they have a really great opportunity here to kind of, defend the home field.
Absolutely. Yeah, they sound like they've got a real weapon there on the outside, and start getting them the football. And, of course, Carter's just a real hard-nosed, tough kid that's running all over the place. So it's great to see them succeeding and get that passing game going this weekend as well. It would be great to see.
Yeah, Roberts has got a really good arm, has good touch on his passes, which is a really nice thing to see. Cam Moody, I really appreciate you taking a little bit of time with me to kind of share your thoughts and contribute to the time capsule that is the Saranac Lake High School football centennial season.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much, and go Red Storm.
Go Red Storm. Take care.
Take care, bud. Thank you.
Good to meet you, too.
Hey, nice to meet you. Take care.